There's still 6 more months until trains officially pull into the Fairfield Metro train station, but residents say neighborhood vandals have already turned it into an eyesore. Take a look at this graffiti plastered on this wall behind me. Police say a handgun that was dropped at this crime scene is their key piece of evidence in a home invasion that happened early this morning. A couple's typical Sunday morning walk on Southport Beach turned into a gruesome sighting when they spotted a pair of organs right here in the sand. We've seen a bunch of plows drive by, making sure the roads are sanded and salted and safe for the drivers. So if you do need to go out, remember to use caution because we are expecting more snow later this evening.
Jose
Ortiz recounts the frightening moments he and his niece were faced with this morning when 2 men broke into their home, put a gun to his head, then tied up their arms and legs.
He won the money
Before taking off with cash.
Police left this apartment on Berkshire Avenue earlier today, literally with buckets of evidence. One of those items was a handgun that was dropped right over here. Police say that gun is the key factor in finding the suspects.
That's very scary.
But that's of little comfort to Shimeli Acevedo, who says this all too common type of crime is the reason she and her mother fled the neighborhood.
We used to live over here, but she just didn't want that environment for us.
But other neighbors we spoke with say they have pride in this block and that crime is a responsibility of only a few bad apples they hope are soon brought to justice. In Bridgeport, Kimberly Howard, News 12 Connecticut. All eyes are on Washington as Congress scrambles to agree on a plan to raise the debt ceiling by next week's looming deadline. The consequences of default have investors here in Connecticut on edge.
Well, I'm really worried about interest rates and where they're going to be headed after this. If I think we default, I don't think there's any question that interest rates are going to go up.
But financial columnist Eric Tyson, who wrote Investing for Dummies, says not to worry, at least not yet.
I think a default's virtually impossible.
That's also the word on Wall Street. Administration officials are reassuring big banks and asking them to do business as usual. Tyson says unforeseen events like the terrorist attacks on September 11th are what throw markets into a frenzy, not the threat of the nation's first ever government default.
The debt ceiling impasse and the debate going on in Congress, while it's still ongoing, in a sense, it's old news.
Still, investors who lost money during the recession, especially those close to retirement, can't help but feel anxious. Tyson urges them to guard their 401k and other investments and not do anything drastic. Kimberly Howard, News 12 Connecticut. A car chase turned crash that landed this man behind bars.
Engaging the police in a high-speed pursuit to avoid detection.
State police say they originally tried to pull over a 24-year-old Gregory McKeithen for a traffic violation, but he instead led them on a chase, then crashed into this pole before his car caught fire.
There was damage to a utility pole. The road was closed for a brief period of time until the debris could be cleared, and CL&P came on the scene to assess the damage to their property.
Stamford police were called in to assist when the trooper involved in that chase lost all radio contact. State police say it appears McKeithen was running from the law because he escaped from a halfway house in Waterbury. McKeithen faced charges in Waterbury today. He'll face the Stamford charges separately. He's being held on $100,000 bond. In Stamford, Kimberly Howard, News 12 Connecticut. A Westport diver hopes to return to Japan to help repair the nuclear reactors damaged by the recent earthquake and tsunami.
It really is tragic.
Like most people, Sam Vale has been following developments at the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan through the media.
It's disturbing to watch.
But unlike most people, he feels a very close connection to the events inside the reactors.
See, my mom used to go crazy about my job.
As a diver technician contracted for General Electric, he says he worked on the reactors back in 1990.
This is the first reactor that we worked on when we were working at Fukushima.
So when he heard about the earthquake and then the tsunami, he was horrified.
30 feet.
Especially as details about what they did to the reactors began bubbling to the surface.
I feel for the last guys that were evacuated from the control room.
He says while the Japanese are different than Americans,
much more formal and regimented,
he developed respect and admiration for them.
They were wonderful people to work with.
Which is why he's hoping to do emergency repair work back at Fukushima.
I would go because I know that General Electric has the best engineers in the world, and they would do it as safely as possible.
As Japan takes its first steps toward recovery, In the wake of the world's first ever nuclear multi-natural disaster, he wants to be there.
We're going to go and help and be a part of it.
Vail says he hopes to know soon if he'll be going back to Japan. We'll, of course, keep you updated. Kimberly Howard, News 12 Connecticut.